welcome to an edition of Scoreboard on ACT, and it's always a pleasure coming to your homes on a Tuesday where we talk sports. In our last edition, we started a discussion discussing the performance, or rather a recap of the performance of the Trinidad and Tobago team at the 2022 Carifta Games. We talk a lot about, what we saw, what we were impressed with. But on today's program, we want to go a bit further. We want to continue to really look at the athletes, because there's a lot of major tournaments that is going to be happening, in the coming months. And some of these very sad athletes who were at the Carifta will be going to these games. So let me welcome back Dennis. He spent the whole week in San Fernando. He forgot his bag with his clothes, so that's why I just facilitate him by putting on the same thing.
Right.
Nevertheless, Dennis, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, always.
As we continue the discussion, into the Trinidad and Tobago performance in the Carifta Games, there's a lot more to be said, because you mentioned off camera that there are a lot of games coming up.
Yeah.
And some of these very set athletes will be going over to these games. What can we expect? I know we didn't talk much about our performance in the relay teams, because I know we won some medals in the relay, both boys and girls. Yeah. Right? But we will touch about that on that. But also, what are some of the little areas that you saw from the Carifta that some of these athletes will have to sharpen up as they go further into major tournaments?
Some of the things that, the armchair coaches tend to focus on is, we are belly, you know what I mean? Do we have belly to go to that fight? We always know that Jamaica is going to be a contender. We know that the Bahamas is going to send a strong contingent. Do we have the belly for that fight? 100%. Right? Most Trinidadian athletes, Trinidad and Tobago athletes, don't consider themselves underdogs. They go in there to win. So them Jamaicans have to beat us. Them Bahamians have to beat us. It ain't no joke about that. So it's not no pumpeg back in by the gate, and then when something show up, they run. No. It's pit bulls versus pit bulls. It's just who's the bigger pit bull on the day and who are the bigger fighting them on the day. So let's put that as the starting point. The fact is, we have a lot of talent. What we don't have is a system that generates opportunities for that talent to be consistently putting out in there. Funding is an issue. Competitions that are meaningful and valuable. People always talk about, sports is 99% mental and 1% physical. Then why are you fighting down these people mentally? Physically you could put together a meet, and this is not a knock on the entry.
But do you think we have enough meets to give the athletes that extra, opportunity to really go further? You
see, okay, college athletes run every week because they had to get points to qualify to get their team to move up into the thing. So the more athletes in an event, like a national championship or conference championship, is the more points opportunities, the more points for the team to win. The teams that win are powerhouse teams who recruit and reload. They're not going and look for nobody. They're waiting for the top athletes, usually in that state. Arkansas, Florida, Texas. Most of the big schools recruit athletes from there. Anywhere else outside of that triangle that's down in the south, you're looking at athletes who are competitive, but not in competitive systems. So when you have a system where it is not every week you're running in a high quality competitive meet, it means the athletes are not motivated to perform on the top. Early in the season, you want to get your qualifying times early so that you can rest. But then the policy is that early times don't matter as much as later times. If you have a meet in April, your January times, if somebody run their time and it's marginally faster than yours in February, in March, you have a better, that time closer to the meet is more important than a time in January because of the way periodization, which is a big word, let me explain it down and break it down in things. Periodization is a process where the long-term athlete development, you have peaks and valleys. So you want to peak at your championship, you want to rest, taper off. So college athletes tend to have plateaus where instead of a peak and a drop, they peak and they stay as long as possible. College athletes have indoor season, outdoor season. We don't have that here, right? We don't run 60 meters. Adults don't run 60 meters outdoor. Youngsters don't run 60 meters outdoor. So when we get to college, that's the first time we're running 60 meters. Jamaicans, them running that. Jamaicans sending their athletes and they running in the cold. They're going into pen relays. We don't do that, not consistently. And for our athletes to go and do that, cake sale, bake sale. How much curry Q I go and eat? 13.5% East Indian by DNA, but I don't eat curry so much. How much curry Q tickets you want me to buy to help support these athletes? So the reality of it is, NTRAs does their bit. Secondary Schools Association does their bit. Primary Schools Association does their bit. The ministry does their bit. But it's like you're buying a six-pack versus you're buying 6 different beers. How do you hold a six-pack? You have the thing carrying case. That little plastic thing is what's missing in Trinidad and Tobago sports. Systems, right? Imani would love to hear me talking about systems. That's her favorite word. Shout out to Imani. And I will say this. When systems fail, you don't typically see the effect on the athlete until it's too late, right? So look at a situation like Dion Landor's death. Why did Puma sign with Trinidad and Tobago? You know, Dion Landor is a young athlete with high caliber, very good CV. He's going to replace and he's going to be able to run together with people like Asa and Jareem for a long time. So when you pull that out there, you know, the car is going down the road with 3 wheels. Yes, Dwight St. Hilaire has pulled a big, you know, he's having a huge performance. This year we're looking at real big things from Dwight. But the idea of it is Dwight is still in college. We don't know what Dwight is going to do after he leaves school, right? So the idea of systems replace things. If you go by your mechanic in the bush and the back and, you know, he have a little thing and he jack and, you know, he never shower in and all he hand dirty and thing, do you feel as confident as if you go by your dealership and, you know, everything crispy and clean and you're smelling and you ain't smelling no, you know, dog pee in a corner because, you know, Bruno has had to watch the garage when he not there. You know, systems build confidence and we have problems with the system. Everybody in the world know that the world is headed into recession. My estimate is that it's going to be worse than the 80s. Things are tough. The ministry is doing their part. Sport company is doing their part. The big sponsors in Trinidad and Tobago sport, state-funded agencies like NGC, other agencies, and big regional conglomerates, the banks, the insurance sector. Where are the other high net worth individuals stepping in?
Yeah. They will step in.
It's a big gap.
They will step in if we win an Olympic medal.
They will step in with an ad that they didn't pay for a photo, and they will just put that out there. You know, so Juice Boy, big up, big up Kishon, yeah. Ambush marketing. I am convinced that Trinidad and Tobago is not a sporting, does not have a strong sporting fan base. We like winners. Anybody could spot a winner on the podium. But to get, like I keep telling a lot of these athletes, when you make your Netflix documentary, let them call me so that you ain't going to have to use the one that you take from Facebook now. Let them call me and I will send them the high-res from when I was 9, 10 years ago, because I have that. How many people could say that, right? There were generations and generations of athletes who have no photos, no recollection. When the brain gone through, that is it. It's an archive, right? I have a 12 terabyte drive at home with archives. right? The value of that is the value the future will place, the future Trinidad and Tobagonians will place on looking back in history. We went to World Cup 2006, Jermaine Cruikshank and myself, and we worked with Robert Taylor. And we have photos from that experience. And we didn't focus too much. Well, Taylor was on the pitch, so he has match photos, right? Our focus was on the fan experience. There's nothing like the first time, George. But you see, the second time, they're going to be looking back. Hey, what happened, boy, in 2006? Who's they going to call? Hey, Tay, you have anything? Yes, I do. Right? So when Aaron Antoine makes it to the NBA, yeah, we do. I have thing. Hold on. By flying alone, well, let me make it clear. I have had a lot of strong support, and I have to shout out, Renee Taylor, I love you, babe. You score plenty, but you know what? You are my backbone. Plain talk. All right? My brethren, the Saints group, full 100 support. Right? Some of the things that we do will never make it to the public because we don't do it like that. But that's just a bunch of, like, I could literally call 10 names. I could literally call 20 names. It have people in Trinidad and Tobago making real dirty money and doing nothing. And I could call names. How much Rolls Royces and Bentley Anas you could drive? How much autobiography you need to drive? You have one right foot. So that means your fleet of 4 or 5 Range Rover autobiography, 3 or 4 Rolls Royces, and 3 or 4 Bentley Anas GT Continent. How much of them you could drive? You could only drive one at a time. We need to stop spending money wild and stupid, and we need to create an environment.
I always remember, I always talk about that, before Keyshawn won that gold medal. For the national championships, if we had 500 people, we had plenty. When Keyshawn came back to Trinidad,
I was talking about that the other day.
The airport alone, the amount of people.
Yeah, about 100,000
So
people,
where these people were.
But you know who have photos of that, right? Yeah, we have it.
You know,
we got it.
I know we had to take a break there, still, but when we come back, we want to talk about the tournaments that
things that are coming,
proceeding now, and where do we go from here?
For sure.
Right? And I know we're going to mention some things that we've been mentioning from since way back in the days, because certain things not changing.
Not.
But you can just maybe talk about it, and hope one day somebody do something about it.
Might be me.
So you never know. So viewers, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion with the Carifta 2022 recap. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Scoreboard on ACT. And Dennis, we can talk track and field.
We could talk for hours.
Over and over there, because there's so much, right? But there are some major tournaments coming up now.
Major events coming up.
Carifta has come and gone.
So Carifta is out of the picture now, but a lot of those athletes, especially at the under 20 level, will move forward into several opportunities. One, there's Junior Pan Am Championships, and then there is also the Caribbean Games, which is on under 23, and there are some exciting athletes still under 23.
Where's that Caribbean game taking place?
Guadeloupe.
Okay, wasn't that supposed to be held in Trinidad some years back? They had
that crash. Yeah, that crash. But this one seems to be happening. Guadeloupe, the The LOC has announced several major sponsorships and partnerships, and I'm really keen to see what's going on. The other thing is World Under 20. There's also a NACAC Championships. So some of the Under 20 team will carry over. Hopefully, some of the relay teams, which you mentioned in the earlier part of the show, some of those relay teams will have an opportunity to go. Unfortunately, 2 of the major events were canceled locally. So the Pan Am team trial was canceled, and I believe there was another event in Tobago that was also canceled, and I believe the last chance for gas is the Zenith relays in Tobago. But the Zenith relays had been pushed back a week, and that would have meant that the last date for qualifying would have passed. So we are in the process of making a case for extending our qualifying window.
Okay.
If that is the case, we will be able to do so with the Zenith relays.
If that's not the case, would you be taking
then we just had
the times from the Carifta?
We probably go around with a watch, Boy George, and go to people practice.
So
some of the performances at Carifta will go forward.
Okay.
Even though some of them would not have been. So with regards to qualifying times, some events are standards set by the Global Federation. So in this case, World Under 20 qualifying is set by World Athletics. But in the case of the other events, I believe it's discretionary, meaning that the entry has a team quota and they will send whosoever. World Championships is also coming up in Portland, in Oregon, in the USA. Remember Sha'Carri Richardson, 9th place. Yeah, same track. Hopefully not the same result for the girl, but yeah, same track. And we have had some young Trinidadians knocking on the door there. Gerard Elcock, who was at World Indoor, running very fast. JLM Purcell, who was very close to the qualifying standard, also running very fast. Daniel Duncan, who is an expat trainee based out in Princeton University. He and his family would have gone to the same roti shop. My sister Ava, who is also a very avid fan of the show. Ava, I know you're watching. Same roti shop and same doubles place, girl. The same place Daniel would go to in New Jersey. So he's a great talent as well. He's a sprinter. Eric Harrison Jr., he's also on par. He's, I think he ran a 10:17 the other day. We also have another expat, Turner Kelly, in the throws. So in terms of I think he just set a new personal record in the hammer throw and the discus throw. So he does hammer, discus, and shot put, but I believe he would qualify for shot put. At the international games. He's a young-ish guy, but I don't think he's under 23. But, in terms of the under 23, we have Ayanta Wright, we have Akila Lewis, we have Isla Stanislaus, we have Leah Bertrand, Naomi Campbell, Shaquila Walcott, Khalifa ran the other day. She did a really good time. I think it's trying to be number 2 for the season, outdoor season. And of course, the normal trademark names like Michelle Leah, he's still competing, still doing well. On the men's side, we have a problem with the 400. The kids don't like it. They like it. I've been talking to Asa Guevara, who's one of the legitimate standouts in the 400, and yeah, it's tough. It's a tough race, mentally as well as physically demanding. So, but hopefully at World Championships we would be able to field a men's 4x4. Definitely not a women's 4x4, unfortunately, but hopefully with the seeds that we planted, with the talent that we saw on the track in Kingston, we would see youth 4x4 moving forward up the ranks, and hopefully by Paris 2024 and beyond, we should be able to be competitive once again in the female 4x4 and definitely individual 4x4 with people like Rianne Serville getting in there and joined by people like Natasha Fox, who was an outstanding athlete over there.
How do we harness these athletes, the ones that might not get scholarship, that is going to remain on local soil?
We don't have a system for that.
So we go down the same road. There's a possibility that we can lose these athletes.
So Kishon went from talented junior to Olympic gold medalist in a snap. He got picked up. He got, I believe, a Nike contract in his first year after London Olympics. And by Rio, I'm not sure what happened, but I think he was still throwing with Nike. By Tokyo, I'm not sure, right? So in that 12-year gap, you saw a professional evolve out of Trinidad and Tobago. He didn't go to university. He's totally homegrown. Somebody like a Jehu Gordon, also homegrown, went to university here. So those are systems that we need to learn to replicate.
But those names you call, they're local coaches. I think those are the people who made a difference in these guys' thing, because I think it was Jehu coach was Skinner.
Yes.
Right, a former Olympian.
Yeah.
Right, and a very educated person.
Yes.
Right. Kishon had
Ishmael Mastrapa. I mean, Ishmael is Cuban, but
it's Cuban, but
we had a game a passport.
So what I'm looking at is that they were fortunate to have the caliber of people, right? Yeah. So these other young athletes who might not get scholarship and remain.
Yeah. So like right now, local-based pros, like I believe Ruben, who's a 110 hurdler, Ruben is abroad. I believe he's based abroad now. Athletes like Portia Warren, or Serena Warren, because she was just on Instagram in an ensemble that she created. She's a designer now, and she also stitches. So, enough respect to Portia. She constantly evolving and re-emerging as a brand new person, So our senior athletes, we have some difficulty because the reality of it is track and field don't pay much compared to other significant global sports like soccer, basketball, lawn tennis. We don't get that much money in there. So it means that the onus falls back on the athletes and the system that supports them. Dion Lander was a Puma Pro. I believe that Puma Pro contract may also extend to Kyle Groh. You don't really hear much about Kyle, but Kyle is in the lab always, So we have talent. What we don't have is the system, and I keep going back to that. We need to build systems that, to run in a D1 school, you have to be a D1 athlete and a D1 student. That's tough. Because we just spoke about it. These parents are telling the kids, you have to make choices. So the difficulty of it is evolving systems, support bases that are outside of governmental cash, that's highly politicized, and that are sufficiently robust that they can take a hit. They could say, okay, we're going to send you to 4 international meets, but you ain't going to be seeing somebody online status off, boy, I was passing through a tunnel, boy, yeah, I know that ticket ain't paid for yet, but hold straight now, and then you end up with some 52-hour flight to get to a place that you could have paid for a ticket if you had the money. So Nicholas Paul, bad accident in the in Glasgow, Nations Cup, tough, That is a reality for any athlete, Who is Nicholas's insurance? That's our opportunity. You are the man that helped make sure that the world record holder shoulder back in gear.
Yeah.
You can't make money off of that. Then you shouldn't be and you should not be a top insurance company in Trinidad and Tobago. You should not be a bank, because those are things that are built on security. Those are things that are the sentiment of those types of industries, that you take care of all of us. So if you can't take care of the best of us, why should the least of us pay money every month for you? You understand? I keep talking about it. We drive around.
And I always say that too, because look, for instance, which company has Nicholas Paul, world record holder? Which company has him as a brand ambassador?
There you go. You know, of course, the athletes also have an obligation to create a brand that is valuable as a commercial entity.
But then we go back now. Do they have the right? Anybody could be a manager, but do you have the skills to sell that brand?
They don't go there, George.
Yeah,
I'm gonna lose friends.
You understand what I'm saying?
Athletes.
So, I don't think it's the responsibility of the athlete to go, I might be wrong, to go and sell myself. If you is my manager,
I'll tell you something, huh? Elite athlete funding. Your manager could pick up your check. But whose name is that? You. Who's the bottom line? The bottom line is you, the athlete, right? So I received some funding from the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, and around me were athletes and their representatives who received funding. Andwele Wright, Akil Campbell, Portius Warren, who just mentioned. They received funding, which goes a long way towards helping their career during the period of time in between major international tournaments, international conference championships. So the idea of it is, yes, the support systems are in place for the very, very best. How do you get to be the very, very best? An athlete like Aaron Antoine, if you pay him now, it will affect his eligibility at NCAA, so it will affect his ability to get a scholarship. Support his club, you know? Now, these are things, I think he's a South man and he competes regularly. Simple thing like this, boy George. Point Fortin New Jets. When they go into an event, they get up 3 o'clock in the morning. What's that about? Where the money coming from? We have a lot of things to fix, people.
Oh, yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about. So, you had to pay another visit to South.
Anytime.
Viewers, we hope that you really, enjoy the program. I hope you understand a bit more about what goes on in track and field, and also what the athlete has to go through when you see them on the podium with their gold medal. So, we don't have much time again. Let me just say thank you very much.
Anytime, my brother,
and
anytime.
If you miss any part of this program, remember, Wednesday at 1 and also on Saturday. So be safe. Remember, people, COVID ain't done yet. Be careful. I want you here with me next week. So, have a blessed week ahead. Catch you next week.